What's up, everybody? Hey, we're getting ready to drop this next episode. And just to make sure and remind everybody, we got a sponsor. It's called The Head Cleaner. He does European mounts of any kind. So if you need a good European job at a good, reasonable rate, I think he's cheaper than anybody else in our area. Hit us up in the comments. We'll get you connected with him. All right, this next episode ought to be pretty good. It's got a lot of shed hunting, a lot of deer hunting, a lot of duck hunting, a lot of cool stuff in it, so stick around and here we go. All right, what's up, guys? We're back in the cabin. This episode, I think we're going to do what we kind of called this show. We're just going to shoot the shit. We don't really have a whole lot on the agenda other than needed to record some stuff. Needed to sit down and bullshit, maybe have a beer or two.
Filler episode.
Yeah, filler episode. There you go.
Just don't want to be known for just testing out guns. Kind of.
No, and our shoulders kind of hurt.
Right?
No, deer season's kind of winding down. Duck season's going right now. I mean, deer season's still on, but I'm already tagged out, so I can't get excited about it.
Yeah.
Duck season's going on. I'm getting ready for this. This stuff right here. I enjoy this probably as much, if not more, than sitting in the stand.
Really?
Oh, dude. Just me and the dog, get off work, jump in the truck, go to a spot, walk 3 miles. It sounds kind of brutal. Some days it is when it's hot. Walk 5 miles, walk 8 miles, walk down a wormhole. Next thing you know, it's like a giant Easter egg hunt. I freaking love it. So I could use a little bit of snow right now, maybe get some rabbit hunting done.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
But
so
this is kind of a lull season.
I think you told me before. Do you have? You don't have to like name drop where it is, but do you have like a spot where it's like a guaranteed every time?
Oh, I have several of those.
You have several spots.
I have them. I've been doing it long enough now. I kind of know where they travel. After season's over, I kind of know where they travel. I've got some specific trails that I can almost lights out, and I'm going to video them this year. I can almost lights out walk down that trail as long as they've started dropping.
Yeah.
And find shits.
Didn't you? I'm pretty sure you sent me either a picture or video or told me about it last year. You were literally walking, and you must have been right behind one because you found it with.
They're sitting right up there. It was a match set. Hang on, I'll grab them. It was a match set. They were still covered in blood. And he's a pretty good sized guy. And I actually found 10 minutes before I found these, I found his year before shed. And this right here is proof. Yeah. You'll have guys tell you that if it's an 8-point buck, it's never going to be anything but an 8. They're like, sometimes it's not even good to let them go another year because they're not going to turn into anything more than an 8.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. I'm like, that's bullshit. This guy right here, I walked up and this match set was laying on the ground right next to each other and it still had blood.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it. It dried on there. Still got blood on the burrs.
Yeah.
He's a stud. He's still alive. Did not even hunt him this year because I know he's a 3-year-old and I want to give him one more year. So hopefully I can find his 4-year-old shed. Here is his 2-year-old. Where is it at? Right here. This is his 2-year-old shed. And if you look at this side, you look at that burr, it's pretty distinct. It's got this big deal on it. I literally walked up and you can match them up. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not. They're identical. And he was just a little bitty fork. Well, I say little, that was a pretty substantial fork.
A pretty sized fork.
But he was just a fork his 2-year-old year. Then he went to a mainframe 8 that very next year. Super good time length, kind of thin. Now you can see blood on the horn there.
Yeah.
But he's got great genetics.
Yeah.
If I could get him to go one more year, this year, let him shed this year's antlers. Next year, that dude's a hit lister all day long.
Yeah. I'll get to listen to that all the time.
Yes, but I'm looking forward to that. I think I like shed hunting just about as much as I like
Actual
sitting in the stand. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And my dog, she's a blue Merle Aussie. We can put some pictures up of some sheds she's found and that I've found. Somewhere in the video, you can pick a spot. But she's a cattle dog.
Yeah.
That's what she's supposed to be anyway.
Oh yeah.
When she was a puppy, I'd take the little horns that really weren't worth much, throw them around, play catch with her, tell her I'd get your toy.
Yeah.
Now we get out of the truck, I said, get your toy, and her nose is on the ground and she's looking for these.
That's what my dad's dog, he has a chocolate lab, and he did the same thing because, like, we've had dogs to duck hunt for years. Well, each one of them, we went, like, when we would find these, they'd chew on them.
Right.
Well, whenever we're walking to the blinds or to wherever, they'll walk around and they'll just grab one. And you're like, oh! And like they just, and we can really take them out to shed hunt, but it's something they look for as they're walking.
Oh, for sure.
And they'll pull antlers out of the dirt because, where he hunt at, it's a lot of like, harvesting land. It's like stuff like
crop
that.
fields?
Yeah, crop fields. I couldn't think of the damn word to say. But, so they're all tilled up in there and they'll just walk by and just, and they'll just pull it out of the ground. So
Yeah.
it is kind of something cool to do with your dog. So
Yeah, it's, and each one, I think that's why I like it so much. Each one is completely unique.
have you ever found some that you've never seen the deer?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. I found matter of fact, last year I found a matching set off a 10 point that I take pride in knowing that where I hunt, I categorize my deer, kind of know who's coming up, who's not, who's going to be a hit lister in a year and who's not, and then the buck that I'm after.
Yeah.
Well, that whole year, I think it was last year, that whole year I was after a specific buck. And if I'm not mistaken, I ended up eating, as they call, tag soup. Because I'm that guy, if I got my mind set on one, I'm going to hunt him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hunt him hard. And I passed a lot of good deer up to shoot
I think
him.
I remember that because you
And
didn't show me.
didn't end up shooting one.
No, you'd end up showing me all kinds of videos and pictures, and you're just like, he's not old enough. He's not the one I want. If he'd have been, what'd you say, a year or two older, he would have been dead for sure. But I remember that.
And then I'm out because I know where he lives. I know he's going to shed somewhere in that area. So every day after work, I'm pounding the dirt.
Yeah.
Like walking me and the dog constantly. And I'm finding all these sheds and it's not his. It's not his. It's still not his. And then I walk up one day and it's like the clouds opened up. The angels started singing. I'm like, there they are. And I walk up and grab them and it's not even him.
Really?
It's a totally different buck. A bigger buck at that.
Yeah.
And I don't have a picture one of him. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where he lives. If he just happened to be in my area hanging out when he decided to drop his horns. To this day, I still have not seen that buck on the hoof.
Really?
But I got his horns at home and he's a stud.
I heard my stepdad's talked about that before. We used to live out southwest of town, and he did the same thing. Trail cams, all that, had his spots he always hunted. And he literally was like, there was one morning he shot a deer. I believe it's still on his wall. It's about like your crooked horn deer. Massive deer. And
Speaking of which, we need to put a picture of him on here so you guys can see him. He's
Yeah.
something.
he's an interesting story.
Yes.
And I'll have him tell that in a second. But he said he went out one morning, had this weird feeling, like he wasn't feeling the greatest, but something was like, just go.
Right.
And he got in the stand, and he sat there, and it was one of those, he was about to get down, and saw this deer he had never seen before. And he's been hunting the same spots probably longer than I've been alive.
Right.
And he's like, this thing just came out of nowhere. And, of course, he's on the wall now, but he was just like, where the hell did he come from?
Right.
Like, was he trying not to be seen and
Yeah.
just happened to pop out at the wrong time?
Just an old ghost.
Right? And he was, I can't remember how old he said. He said he was pretty old. He had that old face. He has a shorter face. Kind of like you see, like, up north. I feel like our deer had the longer face.
Right.
And he kind of had this shorter face, had that, like, it reminds me of, like, whenever you see a dog and they get mad and the back of their hair stands up. Like, his fur was just kind of like, it's not like normal for around here.
Right.
But he was just an old deer.
Right.
And I don't know if it was just his time to shine or what it was, but he dead now. But I mean, that's what I was asking you if you've ever had that happen. They just randomly show up for no reason.
Yeah, and it's not real often because, like I said, I run my cameras pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I've got food plots built. I try to keep them in there year round.
Yeah.
And no offense to you rifle hunters, but us bow hunters, I do everything I can to keep you from seeing them.
And that's the thing. I've deer hunted my whole life. I bow hunted. I've rifle hunted. I did think bow hunting was more fun. But it's also a part-time job.
It
is.
is.
You work your 8 hours. You go home. You check cameras. You're checking. You're checking everything. And it was just like after a while, like it was like, ugh. I mean, it was because it's not even just a deer season job. It is like you said, all year round.
It's a lifestyle.
And you're trying to keep them secluded. You're like, keep coming on. Like go tell your friends to come here.
Well, it cracks me up. You go somewhere, and these guys will say, late August, early September, well, I started feeding and running cameras. Really?
You're a little behind.
That's cool. I've been doing it all year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever take my cameras down. I run them year round. And it's not to, some people say harass the deer. I'm not harassing the deer. If anything, my deer are probably, in my area, are probably better taken care of than any animal in the state of Kansas.
Right.
They get fed all the time. They get pampered, per se. I mean, I've got food plots built for them to eat. I run mineral blocks and salt blocks year round, so they've always got stuff they need. I don't want EHD, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Especially with like the drought we had this year.
Oh, God.
Oh, dude, it's horrible.
It was awful.
And so far, knock on wood, we've had no problem with EHD in my area. Yeah. We did have a little bit south of town. I talked to some guys some other bow hunters.
Yeah.
And they had a couple, wandering around in the middle of a gravel road. And I'm like, oh, dear God, I hope that doesn't come here. Because I've got some up-and-comers that I want to baby through these off-seasons and keep them from getting hit by a car. And
I will say the hardest part for me is the place that I'm able to waterfowl hunt, I can't deer hunt it. And as well as I know, we live in a smaller town in southeast Kansas. There's nowhere to just ask anymore. You have to know somebody to know somebody. And it's like you got all these, what you call them, city people that come buy all this shit.
Well, it ain't even that. It's out of state now.
Yeah, out of state people.
Guys are willing to lease ground.
Yeah. I'll pay $15,000 for, 3 weeks. Why?
Yeah.
I mean,
because they want a little piece of what we got.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa, I'm not going to dog Iowa. Iowa's got some monster deer.
They got the big bodies.
But Iowa shouldn't be able to call themselves land of the giant anymore.
No.
Because
we work with a guy.
We've got just as many giants. I'm not saying pack your stuff up and come hunt in my backyard, because I like a lot of people. I don't like anybody that much. But we do have some good deer, but we grow them.
Yeah.
I can remember back in the, this is going to be, I was going to show my age. I can remember back in the 80s.
Yeah.
The whole mentality.
I wasn't alive.
Of everybody that I knew. I mean, I was little.
Yeah.
But I can remember there was no conservation. There was no growing deer. There was no, hey, let's let that one go till next year. If it was brown, it was down.
Oh, yeah.
If you got a chance to shoot a buck, you shot it.
Yep.
And you just got lucky if you got a big one. People are way more conservation driven and way more into, my father-in-law says it all the time, and it's probably one of the truest statements you will ever hear. You can't shoot big deer unless you pass big deer.
Yep.
You have to pass.
And I've seen some of the pictures.
4-year-old stud that you want to shoot. I mean, look at that. That's a good deer. That's probably a mid 150.
I've seen deer smaller than that taken on the outdoor channel.
Yeah, low 160s. And I see those guys on the outdoor channel. We just shot a nice mature buck. Dude, I passed 7 140s this year, and that's what you just shot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna kill that, and in my mind, I'm knocking on the door right now because I've got a couple on the wall that are 180 plus. I want to break that 200-inch mark.
Yeah.
And the only way I can break that 200-inch mark is to pass a 160.
Yep.
As hard as it is, as much as it makes me want to throw up sometimes.
Oh, I haven't got to experience that for a while. I used to go hunting, and like when I was a kid, it was always like I felt like it was just for the meat side of things. Because when you got kids, you just take them for the experience. But the older I got, and then when I started hunting and try to get more involved in it, it was just like there's a lot of work involved in this. I mean, that was my thing. And I felt like you don't always get rewarded.
No.
I mean, if now, like what he said, sometimes if you just say, screw it, it's the last day of bow season, I'm going to shoot whatever the hell I see, I understand that. You want to fill the freezer, whatever, but like...
In my case, that's one thing I don't ever have to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
My wife got bit by a tick. She can't eat meat.
Yeah.
So I'm purely out there for enough meat to make some deer jerky for me and the boys.
Right.
And maybe 1 or 2 times throughout the year, go to my mom and dad's and cook up a bunch of deer steak. We love it. Grind it up into burger. We caulk it out on trays, make jerky with it. 1 deer is sufficient for me.
Yeah.
So if I don't tag out on a monster buck, I'll wait till the last dog dies.
Yeah.
The last day of bow season before January hits and you got to go to that antlerless, and I'll whack the biggest long nose doe I can find. Got her taken care of this year, thanks to my great uncle.
And you got rid of that one too.
Yeah, the bird dog. Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
My buck this year, I'm usually blowing social media up because I killed this great big buck. I didn't do that this year. I had one that had a gorder in his chest. I don't know if he got it injured or what, but it was a great big growth. And we'd already made our mind up, me and some buddies that I hunt with. If we got a chance at him, we're going to take him out of there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I was waiting on Big Boy, and I passed him a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I got to give it another week. I can't shoot him yet.
And then that first cold front came through.
And then that first cold snap come through, and it was like a buck parade.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing all these 130s, 140s. I'm like, God, just about there. You need another year, another 2 years. And then here he come through, and he just got in a fight. And this dude was limping in his left front shoulder, beat up. And I thought, you know what?
I'll do you a favor.
There's enough meat on him to do what I do throughout the year.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about him dying this winter when it gets super cold.
Yeah.
Damned if I didn't. I went ahead and shot him, got him to the house, was cleaning him, and got to looking in his mouth, and that deer didn't have a single tooth in his bottom jaw. I don't know how old he was. We thought he was stunted because he was injured.
Yeah.
I honestly think that dude had already went way to wherever he was going and was on the backslide.
Yeah.
He was old.
But so you just kind of helped him out a little.
I did. And I got made fun of by a couple of guys. They're like, "Really, you wasted your tag on that?" You know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is.
I mean, you could say it's a good deed, I guess, but I mean, it's like
Well, I didn't want him to die suffering.
Yeah.
If I could put him out of his misery and get the meat that I wanted out of it for the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I love it. I eat it up now. I'm going to have some sleepless nights because we started talking about it. And you get that fire lit.
Oh, that's how I feel when it comes to. That's how it feels when it comes to waterfowl for me.
See, there's several times where I've wanted to get into that. But I'm so invested in this.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to take a loan out to get to the point where.
Yeah, it's.
I could waterfowl hunt.
Oh yeah, it's. How I got into it was I went with my dad and a buddy of his. And I was young. I mean, I couldn't even really help. I was probably 5 or 6.
Right.
And I wanted to go, I guess, so I went. It was dumb. It was freezing ass cold. And this was back in the mid to late 90s.
Right.
So that's when we had winters that were freezing ass cold.
Yeah.
Snow all the time.
Yeah.
And we went. I liked it. Then the older I got, I started to learn how to shoot and everything. And it was just one of those things. The adrenaline rush for me, I couldn't match it. Now, I will say, a deer walks out like this.
Oh.
It does get your heart thumping, when you're
Love that feeling.
Rifle hunting, not the same. I'm pretty sure you put a 250-inch deer, I'm just using it as a number, in front of me at 400 yards, I'm going to be like, He has no idea I'm here. Now, once I shoot him and I get up there and hold the antlers, there's the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can shoot him at 350 yards. He doesn't
Right.
even know I exist. But when he's 12 yards in front of you,
Oh, 6.
or 6,
And you can smell them.
yeah.
And you're going, oh, wow. That's
And you accidentally let that fart out, and he's trying to figure out what that was. That's the adrenaline rush.
You know, I don't think there's a better feeling. And if anybody's watching this at bow hunts, you correct me if I'm wrong. Killing a big deer feels great. Like it's the best feeling in the world. But in my mind, it feels better. And I've done it several times this year. And like I can't even explain it. To have a buck, I had one this year, I call him Two Tails. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know if his tail got split or tore or something when he was younger. But this dude literally has 2 tails. And he come out, and when he first jumped the fence into the field I was hunting, I thought, oh wow, horns. So I'm standing up slow. I get a hold of my bow. I reach up, I click my release on, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You're not big enough yet. He's probably 140, somewhere in there. And the best adrenaline rush on the planet, I draw on him. Just to see if I can. And it's great practice for when that monster comes in, you've got a system down. I draw on him, and I'm sitting there looking through my peep, and I'm like, you're dead. Let my bow down.
Yeah.
Sit and watch him for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, there's my other shooting window. Draw again. I bet I practiced on him this season. Mock drawed 10 times. Just to see what I could get away with. Yeah, what I could get away with. I had him at 6 yards. I literally could have spit on his back. He come in so close one night and literally come underneath my tree. I leaned forward. I didn't do it, I promise, but I wanted to. Yeah, I was going to spit right on him just to see if I could.
Yeah.
Didn't do it because I didn't want to spook everything out of the area because he had several other deer with him and a couple of, he's got a couple of up-and-comers that hang out with him.
Yeah.
I call one of them. That's the other thing. I know you guys all do this. I do it. When I'm looking at trail cam pictures, and I'm old school, I don't like them text you pictures.
Yeah.
Because if I had a camera that would send me pictures on that deal,
He wouldn't get shit done.
I'd never get anything done. I'd be staring at my phone all the time.
Yeah.
For me, I like the old cameras that take the cards. I like to go check them. It's like Christmas.
Yeah.
You never know what's on it. They could have been out for 10 days. And you're like, oh my gosh. You get in there, you got 1,300 pictures. And my wife gets extremely mad at me because I click through them one at a time and sit and watch them. It's like a slideshow. She's like, you know, you could bring up those thumbnails and scroll through till you see horns and then check. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've got some pretty cool
Because
pictures.
I've seen some pictures where you can faintly see them in the black. And
Yes.
you're like, that's the one I want to find. Because
Yeah.
he's the one that's like, no. There's a pile of corn there for a reason. I ain't going over there. You ain't going to see my face.
No.
So he gets that ghost outline of the antlers, and you're like,
Yes.
there he is. Because I will say, we were duck hunting a couple years ago. It was longer than that. It was 5 or 6 years ago. And it was up north of town.
Right.
And we were, anytime you go deer hunting or duck hunting or turkey hunting, you always back road home.
Yeah.
You always want to see what's out there, whatever else. And so we're back road home from duck hunting, and so we're just looking, and I told my dad to stop, and he was like, "What?" And pulled out the binoculars and looked, and you could see him in the trees. And I shit you not, he made him look tiny.
Oh.
And I'm like, there he is. And my dad goes, where? And he looked at him. He was like, no shit. And so
Just stood there like a ghost.
So he just stood there. Granted, duck season goes after rifle season. So this was the end of all season. I mean, it was middle to end of duck season. So rifle season's already over.
Right.
So we're looking, and my dad goes, they always do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Because I didn't pay attention, and I was like, what? And he was like, that's the one time you'll see him, but he can come out a week after deer season.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knows, well, by that time, and then he'll show his face.
It's crazy, too, because I think they have like an internal clock.
Something.
Because the old smart ones,
They
If
give
you're
you
gonna-
one shot.
if you're going to kill him, you got to catch him slipping.
Yeah.
He's going to give you that one day.
Yeah.
The one I have on the wall, Crooked Horn. I hunted, let me rephrase that. My wife hunted this deer
You what? Yeah.
for 3 years. He is on my wall. I'll have him put some pictures on here. He's a freak of nature. For guys that know anything about deer, a G2, his G2s are 19 inches long. His eye guards are over 12. Like this guy, he's got 28-inch main beams. He's over 180 inches. I think he's 180. I've never had him officially scored. I've just had a couple of buddies of mine and my father-in-law put tape on him. He's 189 and some change. He's not quite a 190-inch deer, but he's a giant. And this deer haunted me. My wife hunted him 2 years in a row. Had a chance to shoot at him, missed him. The next year, she hunted him. Never really, I don't think she got a shot that second year. Third year.
Didn't you say she hit him?
She hit him the first year.
Oh, yeah.
Caught him in the chest, made him bleed. We were heartbroken. We were convinced he'd been injured, like it was such an emotional roller
I feel like
coaster.
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Like when you hit him, just like last year.
Yeah.
He came to work and he was like, I hit one. I hit him right in the shoulder. I gave him overnight, yada, yada, yada. And then you went out the next day and you're assuming you hit him right in that blade.
Oh, I hit him right in the shoulder blade because it wasn't a week later we had him back on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And same way with Crooked Horn.
Same
Got him back on camera.
Shot.
Yeah.
The Okie shot.
Yeah, let's don't talk about that. But I mean, we got him back on camera and I'm like, okay, he's good. And then I started thinking, he's big, but he's not that big yet. So the next year rolls around and my wife comes to me and she can attest to this. She said, I want you to kill that deer. I'm like, okay. She said, I had 2 chances. I didn't get it done. I don't want somebody else to get that deer.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me. That deer consumed in 2020, which was kind of good because it was during the pandemic and we were still working a lot, but most people, weren't working a lot. I hunted that deer for 41 days straight. Harder than I've ever hunted a deer in my whole life. And I swore after I got my hands on him. That's a long drawn out story. There's not even enough hours in the day I could talk about this deer for years.
He still does.
I do. I do. I sit in my recliner and I look at him and I'm in shock that he's on my wall because there was such a long history with him. But when I put my hands on him, I looked right at my wife and I said, I will never do this again. I'm not going to let one animal consume me like that.
Yeah.
So from then on, it was, if it's a mature deer, I know it's a mature deer, I'll take the first mature deer that comes in, but I'm not going to obsess over one anymore because it ate me alive.
Yeah.
That's all I thought about. I missed out on some weekend events and stuff that people wanted me to go do because I was like, no, I got a deer to kill.
Yeah.
Every second I had, I was in the stand. I get off work, I come straight home. I'd descent, I'd shower, put my hunting clothes on, I get in the stand, and I'd set till dark. And we get off early.
1 o'clock.
We get off at 1 o'clock. And I don't know how many of you, there are some guys out there that'll set all day.
Oh, yeah.
And good on you, because people think, oh, it's not hard to set in the stand. It's hard to set that long.
It is.
But I would set, and before time changes, I can set till 8 o'clock. Or pretty close to 8 o'clock.
That's kind of what I like about duck hunting. You can lay in the blind.
Yeah. And there's days where those cushions you carry to the stand and those comfortable seats in the stand, they're not good enough.
No.
Your legs start
Those are
going
only
to
good
sleep.
when it's like 6 a.m. and you ate a little Debbie and you're
I love those trees.
right.
Yeah, not the trees you set in either.
Yeah.
The little white Christmas trees. That's why I'm fat.
But yeah, when it comes to deer hunting, I've noticed everybody has their opinions. Everybody has their ways of following things.
Oh, yes.
I kind of got out of it because, like I said, it got harder to find places to hunt. Maybe where you live or whatever, but around here, it has become a challenge.
We joke a lot about sponsorships. At the end of the day, I really don't want a sponsorship. But if you've got 150 acres that you'd like for somebody to bow hunt, call me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you have a concern with the overpopulated deer on your land,
I can take care of that.
We will we will do it however you want us to do it.
And this guy's going to get into deer hunting again.
Oh, I will.
I'm going to make it a point because I have ground
Oh.
for him to hunt. We're going to film some of this stuff. Like that's going to be part of this
All right, babe. I gotta buy a boat.
next year. I know where you can get a good one.
Right?
Shout out to Expedition Archery. You turned me
Yeah.
because I was a Hoyt guy for years, and I bought an Expedition. What was that? Last year or 2 years? No, 2 years ago. I bought an Expedition, an FLX. The only thing I'm kind of learning on, it's kind of a learning curve. I'm used to shooting a super short bow, and this one's 30 inches. But man, at 70 yards,
Yeah.
that thing's a hammer. It's something else. I bought it to elk hunt. That's another story that
We'll get into that a different time.
we don't want to talk about. That we'll get into
But-
it. Never.
Waterfowl is my thing. Besides fishing.
Well, I got-
but like waterfowl to me.
I got the camo and the gun.
Yeah.
You get her the rest of the stuff.
I have
I'll go with
everything else. My dad's got stuff. My brother's got stuff.
you. I'll
We all
gladly
hunt
go with you.
together.
I just don't do it.
We got about 5,000-6,000 acres up north that we hunt. I'd say in the past it used to be a lot of water, but in the past we also had harsher winters, so the migration now sucks.
Oh yeah, and
It
I've
does.
heard them say that the migration path has moved.
What
And it's not- we're not
what
right in
we've
it.
been told before is that I think it was Ducks Unlimited, and don't quote me on this. I'm just going off of what I've been told and seen. They're trying to get with conservation and the states and everything to push the season back
Oh, that'd be
because it's not really cold outside right now. You go find me a frozen piece of water.
cool. There ain't.
There ain't. And that's what that's what they're not migrating. Now, if you get on, Kansas's website or Nebraska, whatever, they're moving. But like you said the other day, they were 10,000 feet in the air and you could barely hear them.
It's the first geese I'd seen all year.
But you ain't going to get their attention.
right,
Those some bitches are headed south.
right.
But all you're going to get right now is local birds. But for me, it was when you're laying there in a blind or you're sitting in a blind, however you do it, and you hear that
Yeah.
just when the wings cup and they're moving. That's the same in the air. Like, that's the same in the fields, too. It's not just on water. And you get that, like, what was that? And then, like, you look at that corner of your eye, just like when you're deer hunting, and you
Right.
see them just bobbling, and you're just like, oh, shit. And then, like, you start calling, you start getting ready, and it's just that gets my heart just pounding.
That's cool.
And then I've hunted with my dad and some people, and, like, I've seen the tornado
Oh,
effect where they just come
that's so
barreling in
cool.
there, and I'm talking hundreds of ducks coming down at a time.
see, I've seen that with ducks, but to me, it's more impressive with geese.
With geese,
When you get on a big
see-
open field and you see them whites or them snows and specks
yeah,
just coming in from
I
every
haven't got
direction.
to. I haven't got to hunt snows yet. We have shot specks before because they kind of fly with whatever's out
yeah,
there.
yeah, blues.
Yeah. Geese is like duck hunting and goose hunting are the same, but not the same.
Really?
You can get a fucking duck's attention. They're like you're a D plus, C plus school student in school. Us.
Right.
But then you got geese who are like smart as shit.
Show me something.
Yeah,
or I'm not
show
coming.
me something or you're not. Like, I have literally had them come in 30 yards, fly right over us, and we're just trying to get their attention, and, like, they just won't. I mean, you can shoot 30 yards, I'm over-exaggerating that a little bit. I've had them come to where they're about to come down, and there's something catches their eye,
I've heard
and
that.
they just spin.
I've
Like,
heard that.
instantly the other, and it doesn't matter what it is, like, I've had to where we've been laying out in a field before or something on a blind, and if you see somebody on your phone like this, and at the right exact moment they move and that sun hits your phone screen and hits you,
They're gone.
and I'm talking a mile in the air, like, way up there,
Yeah.
and you're just like, how the hell did they see us? And it's just like, you don't know, but I feel like with you and bow hunting, when it comes to waterfowl hunting, when you limit out at the end of the day for 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, however many it is, and I don't like the easy mornings. I don't like to get to the blind at 5 a.m., get your decoy set out, and you're tagged out by 7:15. I like to work for it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Singles.
because that's
Or
that's my me time. That's my me time. I don't think now you probably wouldn't care if you went and sat in your stand for 15 minutes and shot a big one, but it's like you're like
Honestly, I mean, I passed
Yeah.
I passed a deer that was probably 3 times the size of the cull buck that I shot this year, just because I wasn't ready to be done.
Yeah.
Like when I shot the buck I shot this year, I won. I was done.
Yeah.
I was tired. I'd hunted hard. It was late November. I'd put in the hours. I was here and he was there. He was there and I was here.
Yeah.
I never could catch up with one. And then by the time he come in, morally, there was no question. He was hurt. He was an old buck. Didn't think he'd make it through the winter. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Plus, I was done. I was tired. I wanted to be tagged out. If nothing else, this is going to sound really, I don't even know what you'd call it. I wanted to put cologne on. I wanted to have a smell again.
Yeah.
Because I went neutral from September, October, and November. I literally smelled like nothing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that, but like even on the weekends,
Yeah.
or if me and the wife would go to dinner or whatever, I still showered in scent killer shampoo. I use scent killer deodorant. I use scent killer everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. That's some pretty good stuff. That and Dead Downwind. I'm a big fan of it.
But waterfowl to me it's different. I mean, because like it has the same aspects as deer hunting. You're not really so much checking cameras, but you're out scouting. Like even though you go duck hunting until usually about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, it's like deer hunting. It's done. I mean, the activities calm down. They're either in the fields feeding or they're on the water, just chilling. So you're driving around scouting. And my old lady can contest, my dad and them can contest. It consists of, well, we used a full tank of diesel. That was $200. I mean, like, you're like, oh, okay, well, and then consumed $30 in gas station biscuits and gravy or whatever you ate.
Right.
And so you can literally pull up to a field, look at your binoculars, see out there, and there's 5,000 geese in there. Go there go there in the morning. You don't hear them because they've obviously moved the water overnight or whatever.
Right.
And then you get to set up, and I shit you not, they'll land in the field next to you. And it's like, you were here for 6 hours yesterday. It's like, why?
They cleaned it up.
Why are you not here? And they'll land on the opposite end of your field. Like, 'cause some of the fields that we hunt have, they're massive, like mile by mile section chunks. So like you can't cover that whole area.
No.
And you can literally see them in the middle of that field one day, and then if you go to hunt that next morning, they're in the back left corner.
Now,
And there's a big chunk in between you, so you can't just like, come here.
I got a question about that.
What?
So, I've heard people say it, but I don't know how much truth there is to it. My wife's family, she's got a bunch of family that lives out in Wichita. Mm-hmm. They hunt with the wind.
Yep.
They said, depending on where they set up on the field, depends on which way the wind's coming from.
You want the wind.
It's not so that...
You want the wind.
Don't want to sound stupid, but it's not because they can't smell you.
No,
I know that, but...
Ducks don't have the whole smell thing.
No, it's something to do with them landing.
So basically, you want the wind blowing at your back away from you.
Because they'll land coming into the wind?
When they come in, they'll cup like this. And in order for them to land, they have to float with their wings like this. So they have to come down and like flap their wings to get down. So
they'll fly into the wind.
So if you're with the wind in your face and they come around, they can easily get away if something scares them.
Or land behind you.
Yeah, or land behind you. But if you have the wind blowing behind, like at
blowing
your back,
over your shoulders,
or whatever you call it, yeah. And whenever they cup around, it takes them longer to get down.
Oh,
so
okay.
it gives you
a little more time, more hang time.
Unless you're shooting teal, and then it's like, whoosh,
yeah,
there ain't no stopping them.
They're kind of like wood ducks.
Oh yeah,
they're moving.
I love wood duck though.
I do too.
They're pretty, but
that was actually the first duck I ever shot.
Really?
Didn't realize I was lucky in that aspect.
I think, I know of a couple places there are some, but it's like, usually every time I see them, they got a nest somewhere, and I'm just like, I let them go.
And see what some people on here will know where I'm talking about, Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Oh, yeah?
My mom's family's all from down Stuttgart, Humphrey area.
It's on my to-do list. It's going in there.
I'm telling you, we need to go. I have a cousin that runs a hunting lodge down there.
I want to stand next to a tree and have to do this.
It's the most
and see them just coming in.
The most amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And I was a little bitty guy, and they got me in a pair of waders that are too big for me, and I'm holding a shotgun that's way too much for me, And
We've all been there.
all the way to the boats, they just kept saying, remember, you can't shoot anything on water. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, why are these guys telling me this? I already know you don't shoot them on the water.
Because there's so many. Yeah.
I didn't realize that when the sun came up, the reason they were telling me this, there was ducks everywhere.
Yeah.
Already there.
Oh, yeah.
And we're down by Wabasiki Flats and in thousands of acres of flooded timber.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anything like it my whole life. There were more ducks on the water, swimming, looking at us, basically sticking their tongue out like, hey, can't shoot me.
Yeah.
There were more there than I think I'd ever seen in my whole life.
Yep.
The first duck I ever killed was a wood duck because they were literally 50 deep on the water and coming in by the... I've never seen anything like it my whole life.
Yep.
But
I
I
had
mean,
the same kind of story when we were up there. We had found a pond. It was weird because we didn't know it was there, and I told you about it, and you
Yeah.
knew exactly where it was. From the road, you can't really see it. It's
No.
surrounded by trees, and it looks like something they just didn't, demo up when they made the field and plow the field, whatever. And so we were like, "What the hell is out there?" They've said there's a pond in this area somewhere. So we walk out there, and oh boy. I mean, they had been in it because it's in the middle of a cornfield or a bean field, whichever
Nothing
one they
messing
plant.
with them.
There's nothing to mess with them. They don't have to go very far. They can walk over here and eat beans, or they can walk over here and eat or drink water. And so we ended up putting a blind there. And as we're building this blind, this quick little blind to hunt the next morning, they walk up to you. They're just like, oh hey, like there's farmers out there all the time. They get water. They used to get water out of that pond and stuff like that. And it's like, okay. This is kind of weird. You just got
That's
ducks
awesome.
swimming up, and it's just like, I mean, but that's how waterfowl is for me. Like, I feel like whenever I go out hunting, and I'm not saying nothing against bow hunters and deer hunters, when you get up at 3 a.m. and it's -2 outside, and you go to a pond and you're going to go hunt water in the morning, and you have to cut a chunk of ice with a chainsaw and get in that shit.
that sounds like a lot of work.
And move it underneath. And yes, some people are like, don't push it underneath. It makes the ice this. I don't care. I don't give. At 3:30 in the morning, you can kiss my ass. But it's like that water, even though you have waders on, it's still cold.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
So you hear out there and all your, it's just. And then when you get in the blind, you hunt, you limit out, and you like go home. You're just like, oh, I'm sure you know from like you're just like, oh god, what a day.
Yeah.
And because for the longest time, we didn't do the flat bottom boats, and that like my dad made us. You each get a pair of waders. You get out there in the water. I mean, like,
You
we
were
had
the
to
bird
go.
dog.
We were the bird dog. And I don't know if you've ever done it, but I've had to chase birds on the water, waddling in my waders trying to get through the water. It was not fun, but that's just how it is for me. Like I don't have a specific brand of. I'm not a diehard hardcore decoy fan. I'm not a diehard real tree camo or whatever. I will use whatever you send me, but I mean like. I'm not a diehard zinc calls or my first duck call was a Buck Gardner call from Walmart. It was a double nasty single reed call.
Ha.
Bought it from Walmart. My dad bought it for me, and I wore that thing like it was a gold chain. You
Oh,
see
yeah.
a rap video. I'm like, look at my. I mean, just like anytime I got, and that's how it came with a CD, and it taught you how to use it.
Really?
Granted, I can't do a feed chuckle worth of shit.
Oh, I
because
can, and I don't even duck hunt.
the way I talk, but
Well,
I do get to stutter.
I don't
on
get that.
But
You could just do a normal call and stutter.
I can't.
You'd be the best feeder call
Right?
on the planet.
Right?
He said, but that's all, folks.
Right?
Just do it in the duck call. That'd be
But
awesome.
I can't. I can do it for about 10 to 12 seconds, 15 seconds max.
Right.
I'm not them guys that can just wail it out like my brother can, but I can't do that. But I can do anything else. I
Yeah.
just can't dig it very fast.
Oh man,
Or take it however you want to say it.
I don't even know. I don't even really say anything. I just do some weird shit with my tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, it just does.
This
But
is
I
how
mean,
he's married.
but I grew up. I mean, we'd go to Stuttgart duck calling competition. And we'd go down there and watch it. I'll never forget. I was probably 10.
Yeah.
And we all loaded up in my mom's minivan and hauled ass to Arkansas. We get down there, and my sister, if she watches this, she'll never forget it because I'll never forget it. We're walking around downtown in Stuttgart, and they've got all these duck calling companies and decoy companies and guys down there selling dogs.
Yeah.
And my sister walks up to a pen, reaches over and grabs this beautiful little chocolate lab puppy. And she's sitting there holding him and she's petting him. She goes, "Oh my God, isn't he cute? We need to tell Mom." And I go, "Put the dog down." And she looked at me and she's like, "Excuse me?" I said, "Dana, put the dog down." She's like, "Why?" I said, "Look, there was a sign. They were selling those puppies for 10 grand a piece.
Yep.
If she'd have hurt his toenail,
Oh boy.
we'd have had to sell the van and wouldn't have been able to go home."
Sorry
Like,
guys,
I'm
we're
like,
walking.
"Don't touch the dog."
Yeah, labs are, I don't know, they're expensive. But I mean, the best dog I've ever owned. It's hard to decide, but he was too young when he passed away. My very first lab I ever got. And it was so weird. We went out to, I don't know if you know this, it's south of town. You're going south of town. And that pond right there that has the little has a little boat dock on it off to the west side. Right
I think so.
And you can go back there. I can't remember his name. He used to do a lot of gun trading.
Right.
My dad knows him. We were there one day. My dad was he was trading a gun or getting a gun or something. And this dog, all these puppies come running out of the, they were in the kennel, and he asked my dad if he wanted to buy a dog. And my dad's like, I know he's been getting into duck hunting. I kind of thought about it, and all these black labs and chocolate lab puppies, or these black and white lab puppies were running out and just yelping away. And I was like, oh, I mean, those are nice. And then this fat little chocolate lab come waddling out of there after his mom came out. So I'm assuming he must have been the last one to eat or whatever. And he sat down and did that whole, just looked right at me. Didn't bark or nothing.
And you guys connected on another level.
I was like, that one. And my dad goes, that one? Look at, he's fat and short. And I'm like, that one. And the guy goes, I can't say that one. I was going to get that to my grandson. And my dad's like, how much for the dog? And the guy's like, well, how about $50? And I'm like, that's it. And I was like, okay. So my dad bought me the dog. Had that dog for like 14 years. I was literally duck hunting one time, and my brother-in-law can vouch for this. He was sitting next to me. I was in the water up to my waist. And I was sitting down because we didn't have a lot of stuff behind us. So I just sat in the water. And I was in my waders. He was sitting next to me, just shaking, half frozen. And I'm like, you need to get up here and you need to just lay behind me. Well, we would not do it. He loved water.
Yeah.
Like, all labs love water. But I'm talking, this dude, he'd move, the ice would break next to him. And I'm like, you get your ass up here. Yeah, have you seen the pictures of them dogs with the ice on their face?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Got snow everywhere. He went through all that, and I had him for about 14 years. And outside of him, I got another dog I bought from a guy that I found on Facebook. It was $100. And this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And my brother has his brother, and he was the only chocolate lab in that mix too.
Litter mate?
And he has his little litter mate. And,
Whoa, that was a good one.
right? And he ended up getting parvo and died because the guy lied to us.
Oh.
And but he had the potential. And he came home that way. And he came home, granted he was only 4.5, 5 weeks old, the guy lied. And terrible separation anxiety and all that, he can vouch for that. He used to bite the shit out of her. But it was like, he was always like, where's Dad? I mean, like, anytime he'd get trouble, he'd panic because he thought I was going to get onto him. But he had that potential. Like, we were out in the yard one day, and I'd only had it for a couple months, and I was just like, and he just, he was right on it. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything.
Right.
He ran over there, grabbed it, drug it back. And I was like, no shot. And I just kept doing it. And then after that moment, he was just like, we're doing this. Then I got the frozen duck. I always train my dogs with a frozen duck from the year before.
Okay.
Because when they start to thaw out, they get that scent in their nose, and they know when you're playing fetch. And then you can do the whole, you can throw it up and tell them to sit. And when it hits the ground, then they see it fall from the sky. And then when it hits and you say fetch up, they go get it and they can smell it. And then everybody has their way of training dogs. I did it the old-fashioned way forever. My dad's got one of them damn tubes. You whoop, and it launches the damn toy. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It doesn't work very well with a duck, but I don't think he knows that. But
tried it.
It will launch those little pads that they shoot out. And,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the dogs, I've done boats, I've done everything. It's just, like with you, you're like, there's nothing better than sitting in a stand and seeing that monster buck come out. To me, there's nothing better than laying in a lay-down blind or sitting in an actual blind, and you got 100 ducks just circling, and you're working them, and you're calling them in, and then they finally, once you see that cup and they're committed,
Right.
my heart just, and I'm like, oh shit, here they come.
Yeah,
There's
this-
nothing worse than you miss it.
that makes me flutter right there.
Yeah.
That. Oh.
But
All right.
great
Well,
long episode
we
right
did.
there.
We kind of went on a
We
tangent.
kind of ramble, but
We started talking about stuff that I just absolutely love. So where are we on the giveaway?
the giveaway is done.
The giveaway is done.
The
Okay.
last words were in the video before this one, so I know the sentence. He probably doesn't.
I don't.
But I
I
have it all
clearly
out.
was
so
asked today by a person off camera. I was asked, and I'm like, I don't know. You'll have to go back through and watch the episodes.
the video or if you put them in order from the first video to the last video before this one, comment below wherever you're watching or listening to this. Just comment below. I will figure out the who's first, and then we'll do some reaching out and try to get you. We'll try to get some sizes and stuff like that, so we know what to get you on everything. Once we get it in, we're still kind of slowly waiting, but I think I got it figured out.
Awesome.
I think I know what we're gonna do. So,
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, sorry for the ramble, but this show may be called Shooting the Shit.
Yeah.
And it's not just about blowing things up. We kind of did this just to talk and have a podcast, but here we are.
Oh, I
So,
love it.
But we're just two dudes hanging out and talking about anything and everything.
Well, I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah. So
Like-
be sure to like, comment, subscribe.
Follow Twitter, Face, all that stuff. Tell Joe Rogan to call me. Still ain't heard anything out of him.
Yeah. Right? I'm still waiting.
I am too. I think it's just a matter of time.
I mean, we have a bed for him.
I mean, the dude could stay in the cabin. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
That's what it's for. It's literally just a little. I ought to Airbnb this.
No.
It's really-
where we're going to record.
Well, I mean, we'll just tell the people to be quiet. Go over in that corner over there.
You need to go in the back
In
room
that
over there.
corner, yeah. One of these corners. I don't know.
Right?
But anyway, it's been good.
Yeah.
We'll catch you all in the next episode. Sorry for taking so long.
See ya.
God bless.